There's a note taker and the jabber scribe. Do I see a jabber scribe in the back? No. Oh, hello. There's Mike. Do we have someone who will volunteer to be a jabber scribe? Okay, Warren, thank you. Welcome to Opsec. We have a... Yes, we have Warren, jabber scribing. Welcome to Opsec. We have exactly one presentation. Hello. Hello. Oh, I guess you have to do this. Welcome to Opsec. We have exactly one presentation today from Eno Ray. Eno, are you here?
No, I will be presenting.
Oh, you're presenting. Okay.
So, did you get the slides that I sent? No. I put this one.
No, I didn't.
We have only this one.
We only do that too.
So, you know,
Actually, let's talk about this a little bit.
no, I will do it without slides. I think that's easier. So let's try to do a presentation without any slides. There were only 4 slides, so that will be the same thing, right? So that's about this Opsec V6 document, which is started many years ago. So yeah, so we started this in September 2012, right? It's a long, long one. It has been here in the queue for many years, obviously. Couple of feedbacks, and at some point of time, we need to go once on the working group last call. We failed, and basically, my ask for today will be, can we get another working group last call? And as you know, that's of course of operational security consideration. So it's not recommendation, right? That's very important, the difference here. So the main change since the last one, we are currently at -15 compared to the 14. As we do it every 6 months, we need to refresh the references. There are a couple of documents that were dash-based that are now an RFC, so we need to change this. We also state into the introduction that we do not cover the IoT world. So we say we cover ISP, residential, and enterprise, but somehow quite often we don't say, we assume IoT is part of IPv6, but we do not cover IoT here. And if you remember, all the discussion was about, because we have a section and we still believe we need to talk about ULA, and we wanted to put some recommendation about ULA. And simply what we did is scratch this section, right? Simply because it was too controversial. Then we were shortening, and now what we simply say, please go, and the draft, go to the ULA usage consideration, and 2 lines before to explain what ULA is, because this document is assumed to be readable by anybody, even non-IPv6 experts, so more security guys that want to understand the implication of V6. So we say what ULA is, please go there. So if somebody still finds this small section controversial, I would love to know. Oh, yes. No.
Yes, I do, because it says ULAs look similar to RFC 1819. Can we don't say that, because we've got enough problem with people thinking it's a private address space for V6?
Okay, we can.
Yeah, so I suggest we do not introduce that confusion even more.
So we go from 3 lines to 2 lines. That's fine. Which I'm fine with it, right? So what did we change as well? So the section about temporary addresses was sometimes not very clear. So we get a couple of feedback, mainly from Fernando Gont on this. So we clean it, following up all this suggested change to make it better. A section about logging and monitoring. Somebody suggested into a review that we also put the savvy logging. So that's basically, you remember, to get the mapping between the V6 address and the MAC address, basically for user attribution. There, we recommend to do as well savvy login if it's possible. Savvy is the technique that allows you to keep the mapping there. And basically, I am already on my last slide, right? Ron, you said it was a fast meeting. It will be indeed a fast meeting. We want to go on the last working group last call. I think now the document is ready. We mostly remove all the controversial section. Fernando Gont made some review. Ron, you started on your own review. So if we can get more review and go working group last call, because this document needs to go out, right? Simply.
Ron Bonica speaking as an individual contributor. Since we have a bunch of time in the session, I'd like to bring up a couple of the issues from the document.
Yeah, sure.
The first is the very first section recommends that everybody use PI space for security reasons.
Mm-hmm.
The first question is, do we really want to do that and risk exploding routing tables? I'm hearing what? Well, does it say so? I had a hard time.
Okay,
parsing
so
that.
normally we do not this consideration. So if we still somewhere recommend something, then we are wrong, because we need to do consideration, right? The title of the document.
Mhm.
So we may want to change this text there, but I still believe that for an enterprise, getting PI space is much better because you are independent of your service provider.
Well,
I think it's obvious, right, for all of us in the room.
I expect there are RIR people in the room, but I think it should not be like security decision, right? I think there are a criteria on RIR, which I established the use cases for PI versus PA. So I do not think it should be in the document.
Which is a fair point as well.
Yeah, with your fault. I really would be interested if there is a security argument for PI. I'm not able to find one.
I won't argue too much. I mean, this document is in front of my eyes for, I don't know, 7 years, right? I don't read it anymore, right? So that's the reason why we need fresh air. So thank you.
Generalizing that comment to other sections, there are other places where you talk about an idiosyncrasy of IPv6, and you talk about a consideration, but it never really shows up as a security consideration. It's just an idiosyncrasy. For instance, you mention, when you're discussing extension headers, you mentioned many networks drop packets with extension headers. Well, yes, that... Hello?
Or maybe the door is opening only from the inside.
Jim doesn't like vectors.
Okay. This is a security working group, so we keep the door locked.
But it's open now. Though.
It may be true that lots of networks drop packets with lots of extension headers, but it's not a security consideration. It's an operational consideration.
Yeah, again, good point. And again, it's easier to remove text than edit text. So until now, I'm happy. And the last one, we really would love to get reviews of this, right? So I will apply the 2 change recommended today, issue a -16, and then we send to the list and get a review. That's what we need.
Returning to my working group chair role, how many people have read this document within the last year?
Oh, thank you.
How many would be willing to comment on list within the next year? Yes, please.
Natalie Trenneman, RIPE NCC. I've been following the work for years, and also the latest one. I think it's great work. I would like to take in the comment about PI, that should not be distinguished from PA, since we're, and also Jen's comment about the RFC 1918 addresses. I think that should be revised as well. Other than that, I'm perfectly happy. Move forward.
Okay, so it looks like it's everything linked to the section about addresses.
So we'll ask for some commentary on the list in the next couple of weeks, and then ask for another last call.
Thank you.
Tim Shane. So the comments about PI and the comments about extension headers, maybe those things are more about risk management than security. Maybe it's still worth capturing things that you should document as risks and your action against that. So you may well decide that you've identified a risk that your provider, you may change provider, or they may go out of business, and God knows what happens then. You identify that as a risk, and maybe your mitigation is to deploy PI. It's not necessarily security, but it's risk management, which many people do equate, unfortunately, to security. So maybe there is scope to either put that in another document and just shorten this one so you can get consensus by making it less things for people to read, or maybe it's an appendix or a section at the end that's risk rather than security.
That's a good suggestion. There is also IPv6 enterprise guidelines or something like that. Another
Yes, I was
RFC.
an author.
And I think the two of us were authors there, right?
Yeah, so there's many. So somebody mentioned the issue of ULAs, and I think it came up there, and we eventually tried to shorten the text we were saying. I think we ended up referring to this internet draft that no doubt will never be finished, the ULA recommendations or considerations draft. That's been going for, 5 years? And it'll never get accepted because it's too controversial. So it's just a pointer to something that will be never finished. Let's be honest, I mean, it won't be.
No, I will check on this enterprise guideline RFC to see what we say there
Oh,
about
yes,
PIPA.
yes. So you could just refer to that.
Yeah,
That
and then it would be even
sensible.
easier.
Yeah.
Even easier.
Is this actually scoped though to enterprise, or is that just an example that you would point to? Is this
You mean in this document?
this document? Is this just everything, or
I
is it
don't
scoped?
remember. I don't remember, to be honest.
Okay, but you already ruled out IoT, which is a very wise thing to do. But yeah, okay. Well, as of Wednesday, you may have an AD view on this as well, I suppose. So.
But not in this working group, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Any more questions on this? So with my co-chair hat, we can declare the meeting adjourned. Oh, you want to present? Okay.
So,
Come here.
sorry.
Do you want to talk about your documents?
Yes.
So come
just a brief. Oh, I see. So regarding your document, I'll be happy to read and offer comments. So the draft that I want to very briefly talk about is not a presentation, just a comment to request going to working group last call. So that the draft is titled Enhanced Feasible Path Unicast Reverse Path Filtering. We presented it a couple of times in this working group. And in April of last year, there was good discussion on the list when we requested an adoption call. So there was a lot of good feedback that was offered. We factored in all the feedback and updated the draft in October of last year. And more recently, Jeff Haas, myself, and Doug Montgomery, we took a close look at it and we discussed it between ourselves. We are satisfied that the draft is in a good shape to request a working group last call at this time. So we'd like to request that.
Ron Bonica, Chair. I think it's in good shape too. And Eric, you agree, last call? We'll have a last call after the IETF.
Thank you.
So I think now we can really adjourn the meeting. Thank you for coming. Thanks for reviewing and doing the working group last call with us. Enjoy Prague. And thank you for the minute takers and the JavaScript. Small work, big work, you volunteered, right? So that's good. Thank you.